The next Legendary Hero summoning event is upon us, and this one is pretty good. With the ongoing Summer Banner, Intelligent Systems wants to tempt as many people as possible to open up their wallets. If you're a newer player, the Legendary Hero summoning event is a special banner that sets the starting focus rate to 8% and also sets the non-focus rate to 0%. That means if you do get a 5-star unit, you will only get one of these 12 heroes, so you don't have to worry about getting any non-focus 5 stars resetting your pity rate. 8% is still not that high, but if you just want any 5 stars, then this banner is going to give you a much higher chance. This banner starts on June 28th and goes to the 4th of July, so you have a little under a week to summon from it. In the rest of this video, I'll be talking about the new Legendary Hero and then the 11 other units to give you an idea about why you may want them or what skills they have to offer for skill inheritance. In a kind of surprising but also not surprising fashion, the new Legendary Hero is Hector. Now everyone kind of knew Hector would probably be a Legendary Hero at some point, but with Choose Your Legends 2 coming soon, it seems kind of odd to release Legendary Hector now. Regardless, he looks like he's going to be another competitive X armor unit. If we look at his skills, he's got some pretty interesting new toys. Thunder Armads is a 16 might legendary axe that also grants a flat +3 defense. Its effect is that if Hector is surrounded by more allies than enemies within 2 spaces, he prevents follow-up attacks. This is similar to Mur's Great Flame with a different activation requirement, and both of those are similar to the Wary Fighter B skill. Considering Hector is an army unit, he should always be within 2 spaces of allies, and by baiting in enemies, they move away from their own teammates. This makes it super easy to meet these conditions as long as Hector isn't completely surrounded by a lot of enemy units. Because Thunder Armads prevents enemy follow-up attacks but not Hector's, Legendary Hector can actually run the same Omni Breaker type build that original Hector has access to. Basically, he prevents all enemy doubles, but he doubles himself. However, Legendary Hector can do it better by having no HP requirement, and he can run Vengeful Fighter in the B slot versus having to use it for Wary Fighter. It also means Legendary Hector frees up his Sacred Seal slot. But if you want, he could also run Bold Fighter as his B skill and keep Quick Riposte as the Sacred Seal. Then you have a very scary player phase where Thunder Armads can disable enemies' Quick Riposte skills. This is going to be a very interesting weapon to face. Looking at the rest of Hector's base kit, he has Draconic Aura, so I'm pretty sure he will have a very respectable attack stat. As always, Hector's got Distant Counter, and it's pretty much his signature skill in this game. As we mentioned, Vengeful Fighter works insanely well with Thunder Armads, and Hector will be a very tough opponent to attack into. As for his C skill, Hector actually has his own unique one. I think this is the first unique C skill we've gotten. Ostia's Pulse looks very interesting because it's an infantry pulse that works for all movement types. So at the start of the match, all allies get -1 special cooldown. However, the catch is that those allies must not have more than 2 of the same movement type. This is the same requirement as the tactic skills, so if you know how they work, you should understand how Ostia's Pulse will function. One fun question is whether Ostia's Pulse will stack with each other. You could run 2 Legendary Hectors and still pass on the effects of the skill. Technically, I believe you could run 3 of them, and if it does stack, then the last hero on the team will get -3 special cooldown charge as long as they aren't an armor unit. As with tactic skills, this C skill will be fun to test out with all kinds of different units and teams. You're gonna have to run some sort of mixed team to pass the effects to everyone. I'm already thinking about pairing this with my Steady Breath Black Knight, who would now not need to carry Quickened Pulse to get a 2-turn Black Luna. There is also units like Reinhardt who do use Quickened Pulse, and stacking that with Ostia's Pulse means Reinhardt can run 3-turn specials on his first attack. I'm sure there will be a lot of fun combinations players will come up with. Overall, I think Legendary Hector will be pretty strong. If his stats are similar to his other forms, then he'll do just fine. But I'm secretly hoping he gets something different like less bulk but more speed. No matter what, you can still sacrifice him for Distant Counter. Now to discuss the 11 other heroes you can get. In the top left is our red units, Legendary Ike, Winter Tharja, and Leaf. To the right is our blue units, Legendary Ephraim, Female Morgan, and Love Abounds Lyn. Bottom left is green, Legendary Hector, Mur, and Brave Ike. Last is colorless with Legendary Female Grima, Love Abounds Roy, and Elise. Overall, a pretty good assortment of units. Let's now focus on what skills each of them has to offer to help you decide which color has the most value for summoning. A regular in the red group is Legendary Ike, who returns with a solid base kit. Everyone can get Legendary Ike for free, but he does still offer some good skills to inherit, and maybe you wanted a different nature than neutral. Warding Breath is extremely good if you want a unit to focus on taking a bit of magic damage, and of course taking advantage of its powerful cooldown reduction effect. Defense Tactic is also a good skill, and despite it being a Sacred Seal, you may of course want to customize a team of units with different tactic skills, so having extras isn't a bad problem. Now for Winter Tharja, she is probably the most hyped up unit that is returning on a banner, and she does deserve that hype. As an armored mage unit, Tharja is extremely min-maxed, sacrificing her speed for a godly set of defense and resistance. Her weapon is the Candelabra and is a really strong inheritable weapon, granting +2 to all stats when attacked. Her A skill is Close Counter, the only other unit with it other than regular Takumi. It synergizes well with her high defenses, basically asking to get hit. With her B skill, Vengeful Fighter, Tharja becomes an enemy phase monster. Guaranteed follow-up attacks plus cooldown reduction on hit is absolutely ridiculous, and we already saw how Legendary Hector can make good use of it. Red Tone Valor is nice, but it's just a quality of life skill. Everyone is going to be summoning for Winter Tharja, and it's because she is a really good unit, her weapon is good, Close Counter is very rare, and then Vengeful Fighter is one of the best skills in the game. Last we have Leaf, who isn't a bad unit, but unfortunately he's going to be the unit most people probably don't want from the red group. He has a decent 32 attack and 38 speed, so he is quite fast among sword units. His light brand weapon deals extra damage against enemies who have a higher defense than resistance, but it's not a super standout weapon. Steady Blow grants +4 speed and defense, which isn't that bad of a combo for a melee unit. S-Drink is only usable by Leaf, but it's a cool skill for modes like Tempest Trials or Chain Challenges, granting full HP and -1 special cooldown at the start of each battle. Drive Attack is also pretty good, but it is on quite a bunch of units now. Overall, Leaf is solid, but you probably want the rare skills from Ike or Tharja. While blue may not be the #1 standout color, there are actually a lot of good skills in this group. Legendary Ephraim is a good unit overall, and I enjoy his Flame Signet weapon a ton. His high attack makes those doubles hurt a lot. His Solar Blaze B skill is also really unique since it grants +30% healing from any special hit. It stacks with Soul and Aether, but you can use it with skills like Luna as well. If you just want to fodder Ephraim, then really the only thing worth inheriting is Sturdy Stance, which grants +4 attack and defense when attacked. Female Morgan is a weird unit with no legendary weapon, but she does have a fully built kit. She is a flying blue mage and the only holder of Blar's Serpent. Currently, it's still the only inheritable Serpent Tome in the game. Basically, the Serpent Tomes grant Dis and Defense 3, which is actually pretty good. Her A skill, Mirror Stance, grants +4 attack and resistance when attacked first. Guard 3 is a good B skill, but I believe it still isn't available on a 4-star unit. Attack Ploy is also good, but it's a Sacred Seal and does come on a decent amount of units now. Overall, Morgan has a lot to offer if you get some unwanted extras. Last we have Level Bound's Lyn, who is the only blue armored mage. She has pretty low HP stat for an armor unit, but she is also the fastest armor unit in the game at 36 base speed. Her blue gift weapon essentially has dull ranged, but I don't really see it being used that much. Her A skill, attack and speed bond is pretty deadly for a lot of offensive units since it grants +5 attack and speed when adjacent to one ally. Pretty scary on an armor unit who likes to hang around the team. Lyn also has Guard 3, so if you really want this skill without having to use 20,000 feathers, then I suppose this is the best banner you're gonna get. She also has Armor March, which is on 4 armor units now. Regardless, it's a very strong C skill, granting armor allies 2 movement for that turn, and if you don't have an Armor March unit, then I do suggest trying to get one. They make armor teams a lot of fun. For the green group, maybe it should be renamed to the God group because man, this is a ridiculous set of units. Not only does this color have Legendary Hector, but it also has Myr and Brave Ike. We talked about Hector already, but in case you get some extra ones, of course you're going to want to fodder off his Distant Counter skill. Vengeful Fighter is also good, but man, Distant Counter can open up the doors for some very fun builds, and pretty much any unit you heavily invest in can use it. Speaking of those units, Myr is an absolute beast. If you ever played Sacred Stones, you would know that when you finally get to use Myr, she absolutely destroys everything. In Heroes, Myr is just a very fun unit to use, and as a flying green dragon, she can fill a spot on so many different teams. Her great Flame Dragon Breath prevents enemies from getting follow-ups if Myr has 5 more defense, which means you definitely want to improve her defense stat in any way. She comes with Fury 3, and I almost put it as a rare skill as a joke. While I know a lot of builds want Fury 3, I really would not sacrifice Myr just for that. Her C skill is Hone Dragons, and she is the only one with that skill. +6 attack and speed is pretty scary on those other dragons, and Myr will be a good part of any Dragon Emblem team. Last is Brave Ike, who is a pretty solid defensive unit. Irvin's damage reduction effect can make Brave Ike a tough unit to finish off, and with Steady Breath and Aether, he can always heal back up to full HP. Speaking of Steady Breath, it's a highly valued skill due to its cooldown reduction effect, and like Warding Breath, it's a very valuable enemy phase skill. Overall, the green group is insanely good, the new Legendary Hero, one of the best dragons in the game, and one of the best rock-steady frontliners. If you don't get the unit you want, then your potential pickups are Distant Counter, Vengeful Fighter, Hone Dragons, and Steady Breath. This is an awesome group. The colorless units this time don't really have a ton of great skill inheriting options. but they are good units, so don't ignore them just yet. Legendary Female Grima is the only colorless dragon, and she also flies, which is nice. Expiration is a distant counter weapon and pairs nicely with dragon skin to protect her from archers. Female Grima's decent speed stat and decent defenses can make her tough to take down. Res Smoke is probably the only worthwhile skill to pass on from her, but as a unit she was pretty solid. Lavabound's Roy is a cavalry archer, making him quite potent with that long range. Gradia is like Lin's blue gift, where it grants dull range 3, not the best weapon for Roy because if you look at his stats he has a ton of attack but some horrendous speed. A popular weapon for Lavabound's Roy is a Brave Bow, and he already comes with Death Blow 3, which is a plus. If you want to try and abuse his balanced defense and resistance stats, then I have seen Guard Bow builds as well. Bow Valor is nice, but again it's just a quality of life skill that just grants 2 times SP for bow users. Last we have Elise, who is finally back on these banners. As a healer, Elise doesn't really have much to offer in terms of skills, but she is one of the best offensive healers you can get. Her 32 attack and speed is one of the best offensive spreads for a healer, and the fact that she can get honed cavalry buffs makes her really deadly. Give her the Wrathful Staff plus Dazzling Staff combo with your staff of choice, and Elise will be able to tear through low res units. As one of the rarest healers in the game, Elise is very much worth it to keep as a unit. I want to continue cautioning players that 8% is still only 8%, and do keep in mind that trying to get one specific focus unit will be harder because of the other 2 units in the color group. If you just want any 5-star units, then this is a good banner to always full summon on, and the odds are decent you'll get somebody without spending a ton of orbs. However, if you want the current summer units, then maybe you shouldn't go too crazy. They will be here for a decent amount of time after. You should also keep in mind that there is a potential second summer banner if the trend from last year is the same. That is in about 2 weeks time, but still, maybe you want to save up for that banner. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and good luck getting who you want. Let me know in the comments who you want to get, and also leave your thoughts about Legendary Hector. I'm hoping the stats are a bit different from his other 2 forms, but I would like to get him. Ostia's Pulse looks like a lot of fun to mess around with. That's it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.